Today we're going to be basically doing some live charting. We're going to be looking at some markets, a little bit more of a technical stream. Maybe we'll continue looking at some live price action on NQ. Otherwise, we'll look at some different markets if that gets boring. And as always, I want to thank everyone for being here, taking time to join us. Really appreciate it. Great to hear. Have a great day. Yesterday, we were above previous day highs, so no way I can long here. Good that you have a system and rules in place. That's the most important part, right? Personally, I'm looking at a 1 hour chart and a 5 minute chart at the same time, just so I can have like a higher time frame perspective on the right and a lower time frame perspective on the left. I'm gonna turn down the history a little bit to clean it up. Other than that, I have no annotations done by hand. It's all automatic, so no more manual charting for me on this template. Let's see. So what I was looking at specifically was, or what I find interesting yesterday is how we had this run down on NQ, right? Oh, this is a 4 hour chart, my bad. Well, I hope the screen is visible. Is it not? Let me see. Well, for some reason it's 720p. Let me see if I can reshare it. There we go. Should be better quality as well. It works now? Good. Good to hear. Good to hear. Perfect. Would be a shame if you wouldn't be able to see anything, right? So, as I was saying, I'm looking at a 4 hour chart here, right? And the thing that caught my attention the most was how we basically finally rated that large range low, right? And for me, whenever something like this happens, I start to look outwards or within the range to see if we can go for some internal range liquidity, right? So my eyes immediately went like somewhere right here, and we have two eyes just below each other. So that's where my eyes are going. Now, yesterday, what I found interesting that we hit the previous day EQ right when we had that move down. I think it was around 9 a.m. or 9:30 that we dropped down, and afterwards we recovered. Let's see. Yeah, it was 9 a.m. that we dropped down all the way into the fair value gap right about here. Same thing at the 4 hour. It's the same gap. Nice little confluence there. So far so good. We're still progressing towards those highs, especially when overnight expanded as well. Today has been a little bit slow compared to yesterday in terms of volatility. There's not much going on. So if we look at a lower time frame, we can see that yesterday was quite a large range, right? We expanded 600 points on average, something like that. What was it? Yeah, 530, 534. While today's entire range up until now is only 162. Yeah, thin book for holiday week. So that's also something to definitely keep into mind. You know, whenever there's like holiday weeks, usually markets will or they have the tendency to move a bit slower because there's going to be less active orders on institutional sides. You know, so good point there. Thin book for holiday week because it's Thanksgiving this Friday, right, in the US, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it this Thursday? This Thursday. Sorry, my bad. Thursday. It's yeah. as we get to November 15, 16, large funds want to secure their bonuses for the year. I mean, yeah, that's something to for the year. Yeah, it's something to take into account for sure. And it's not something that we think about on a daily basis, but there's a lot of large cycles that go on in a market that have nothing to do with trading at all, that do impact um, markets on a day-to-day basis or on a, let's say, monthly basis in terms of like volatility that we can expect, right? Think about Christmas, for example. Markets tend to tone down sometimes around Christmas because there's less volatility because banks are just closed or firms are closed. Think about ends of financial year when a lot of companies want to close the books for the year and they want to start fresh on the new year, new financial year. Those are all things, little events that can impact markets or others that do have to do with trading, which could be option expiries, but they don't have something to do with future specifically. But those things do impact market conditions, so it's important to be aware of them at least. Yeah, or firms that are down on the year, they try to recuperate. Yeah. Good point. Very interesting. So I'm curious, did anyone take any trades today so far? Or are we all flat? You took euro longs. Euro, I think, bounced back pretty significantly, no? Let me just check. We'll look at euro here. Euro USD. Yeah, it definitely did during the, what is it, New York session. So quiet London. No, yeah, quiet London. And a consolidating London lunch into a pretty active New York, which is nice to see. Does look like, ooh, those equal highs are pretty interesting to see though. Let's see if euro can reach those equal highs. I'm curious to see if we will. We're a little bit stuck inside, like, yeah, euro really wants to to keep that level. Let's look at DXY indeed in the meantime. Let's grab a DXY does look like it's about to just go for these. To be honest, we rated the high right there. What did we get? Yeah, well, at the same time, at the higher time frame, honestly, it's like a 50-50 for me at this point. Because like this does look like it could go for those lows, but looks like it's not a thing for me, you know. But at the same time, we do see how bullish order flow is basically supported right here. But at the same time, we took out that high. We, for some reason, can't maintain the 100 level. Indeed, 100 DXY is just used psychological level, along with 115 on euro. So who knows? Who knows? And we did raid liquidity pool up here first time, second time, and an intraday another one here. So then the big drop with the retracement into the gap right around here. So at least this should be doable for DXY, the lower time frame market maker sell model, which would at the same time be the buy model on euro. But let's see if we can get all the way down there to those equal lows. Like if we would get the continuation all the way to down here, I could foresee the market just continuing the whole sell side of the market on a larger time frame again. Wouldn't be the craziest thing to me, to be honest. Let's go back to euro. See how that's doing? Because it's the same thing here, right? At the same time, we do have SMT divergence between the euro and the pound between these lows. If the euro is strong, it will most likely want to continue upwards, and look at all those untouched liquidity pools up here. These are all low resistance highs and all swing points as well. So all left behind here. So could be interesting to monitor this, to be honest. I must say it was a pretty tough range to trade on euro, just because it's like very much stuck inside a range and it won't just pick a side. As you can see, like how I would view this most recent range would be between this high and this low. This would be your latest dealing range, and we're kind of just moving inside of it, right? Then we get another one inside here. So it's just hovering at the midpoints of those. Which for me personally does indicate that it's a slightly harder trading condition because it's not really favoring one side clearly. Let's see. Yen is at intervention levels as well. Let's look at the yen. I haven't looked at the yen in a while. Yep, you're right, it is. So we're getting very close to that one. Interesting hedge perspective though. If you would be bullish on the euro right here, right, but you want to trade the yen, then you'd have to expect that the yen is really, really weak. Because then you're betting on a higher dollar at the same time, which would be like a hedged position. Interesting though. So now we're looking at a 4-hour or daily chart on the yen. Let's see. Oh, who knows? And a bullish C4 as well on the daily. But I think this is pretty doable, at least. And then let's see if the Bank of Japan will intervene again, right? Because they did so, I think, around here they did. That this massive volatility was caused by interventions, as far as I know. So let's see if we get interventions again. I know the Bank of Japan is pretty like strict about it, and they do not like a very weak yen. So they might actually do it. We also still have this inefficiency up here that I would like to see, or would like to annotate. There we go. So I saw that. I'm not sure how I should pronounce your name. Moxie, Nova Moxie. Okay, you traded gold longs. So let's take a look at gold. Is it going again? It is. Gold is going again. Interesting. What do you guys think? Are we gonna go for the range high again? Interesting to see though was I think they had reached a peace agreement with the Ukraine war, right? So usually when wars are over, there's less demand for safe havens, in this case gold. So it's interesting to see that gold is still going up, even though we've had a possible peace treaty. Good morning, Kira. Hope all is well. Good to see you here. You see the relative equal highs on the 13th and 14th. These two. Yeah. Got swept. Did they get swept? No. Right? We're still below it. The engineered some at 4100 as well. Looked like this swept it. That's okay. It's a bit messy up here because of the chart annotations, but we're still a bit below it. Could be a very interesting move though. If we would go for it, it's like a classic, right? We first raid like a liquidity pool just below this to build up more. Then we raid the sell side, and then we finally move for it. It's like a double purge, right? It's something we do see very often. At the same time, just quickly look at what NQ is doing at the moment. NQ is just going sideways. It's not really doing a lot. Let's check YM. At the strongest start, to say the least. We're now at a daily 5 minute. Okay. At the strongest start, to say the least. And ES is similar. Okay. They're not really doing a lot today, which is understandable after a very large range day and a day before a bank holiday. Tony says gold can start a retrace after rates decision. If you mean if they cut rates in December. Yeah, could also be the case. What? Let me see. Let's see what the Fed Watch tool is up to today. So, as of now, the expectations for a rate cut in December are about 83%. As you can see, there's a 83% chance. The market thinks there's a 83% chance that we will get a rate cut towards the 350, 375 range. So that would mean a rate cut indeed. But at the same time, we got to think ahead, right? If everyone thinks this is going to be the way it is and everyone starts to price it in, markets will start to react already. Markets will start to price in those rate cuts before they happen. And then the actual news isn't as spectacular, so to say. And it will have a longer term effect, right? If they think like January, March, all those upcoming meetings will also have rate cuts, and we get into like a full cutting cycle where we aggressively cut each cycle or each meeting, then yeah, of course, we'll feel it. It's really changing every single day. Yeah, it is. It is changing every day because every day we get some new information or people change their minds or whatever, and then the Fed tool changes for sure. Today's jobs data says the economy is doing great, so it supports no rate cuts. That's correct. Yeah, every time we have new news basically coming out, they'll start to basically change what percentage we're on for the rate cut, and this would increase with better data for the US. See, good morning. No setup, no trade. How are we doing today? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. There never was a scenario when we have a Fed pivot or rate cut, and now we will get a pause or hike again. I don't think we'll get a hike. That would be very weird in a cutting cycle. Now we'll get a pause. Yeah, pauses are possible, right? Like the thing is, we definitely have entered a rate cutting cycle, right? But the thing is, how fast is it? Are they going to cut each month or each FOMC meeting? Are they going to cut by full points each meeting? Or are they going to slowly cut like half a point or 25 base points or 50 base points every meeting? Or are they holding pauses in between? Because the thing you got to think of is like cutting and raising rates. I'm not sure how to draw. Let me see. So that's an ugly arrow. Cutting and raising rates basically works like a gas pedal, right? And a brake at the same time. This is a gas pedal, cutting, and this is a brake, right? And what you're gonna kind of remember is what happens if you push the gas pedal too far in or too much or too heavily on a car while you're approaching, let's say, a corner, right? It's not going to work out. You're going to probably crash the car, right? Or you're going to brake into a corner. That also doesn't work. You got to brake before the corner, right? Or when you're on an empty freeway, you're not just going to brake randomly on an empty freeway, right? So they got to find the right moments to basically push the brakes or push the gas pedal to not crash an economy, right? So that's why they're constantly slowing down, looking at it again, maybe speeding it up for 2 cycles or 2 meetings, and then suddenly they're slowing down again because they have to basically get the information on what's happening on the road, which is in this case the economic data, right? Before they can make a proper decision. Let's see, Ukraine-Russia peace deal, but there's no confirmation. It seems like Ukraine won't accept the deal. And there's US-Venezuela rising tensions, so gold still holding up. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it wasn't really confirmed, all the Ukraine-Russia peace deal stuff. But when it came out, we did get a big shock in Forex land yesterday. So it was interesting to see. But yeah, I saw that about Venezuela and the US basically shooting at each other or on boats. I'm not entirely up or entirely sure what happened there. Anyone got some more info about that? Let's see. Data suggests that they don't have to cut more, but in the same time, there is run for chair after Uncle Powell, as Fed members are saying whatever will promote them. Yeah, that's also an interesting thing indeed. Trump also wants lower rates, so probably a lot of Fed members will want to go cut, so they're in favor to be chosen next. Indeed, that's a very interesting observation. But yeah, data says they don't have to cut no more. Yeah, well, it depends, like on like labor markets and indeed the inflation data, right? But as far as I know, there is no inflation data because that part of the government is still shut down. No, I saw that parts of the government already opened up again, but I don't know if everything opened up again. So because a big part of those rate cuts or pauses or whatever are based on inflation on one side and the labor market on the other. So we did get some good labor market data, but if like let's say inflation comes out and it's really really bad, they will start to cut it or they will start to hold, right? But if it's very very good, then they might say okay, we don't need to hold those high rates and we can just slightly lower it as long as the job market doesn't feel an effect of it. Let's see. Trump shut down some narcos. Oh, interesting. And then they've already sent aircrafts and naval fleets. And you read that 25 to 30% of the US deployed Navy warships are in the Caribbean right now. That's wild. It is wild indeed. Crazy. Let's see. Global ETFs flow into additional data point. Interesting. This is on TradingView. Interesting chart you have there. Looks cool. All right, let's keep an eye on what NQ is doing. Okay, so NQ is actually going down again. But I also saw something about Venezuela shooting back or something, but I'm not sure if that was true, if that was real, or if it was just old footage. It's hard to guess sometimes nowadays because there's so much media. You never know if something is real or fake, or if it's old. Let's see, are there any other interesting markets that we could look at? Because now indice markets aren't that interesting to me, as long as they're moving like sideways inside this range. Let's take a look at the other ones. ES is even moving more sideways even more, but it's still stronger. And YM is the strongest still. And it also took out the liquidity pool up there, so that's interesting. So that's also something to take into account, right? If YM already took out the liquidity pool right before the bank holiday and stuff, could be that there is going to be more offset inside here, and that the other indices they're not really interested in rotating capital into the other two because they're busy with handling these orders. So therefore, the other two will be slower and weaker. How's silver holding up? the same time. Going up as well. And gold. Gold was already expanding when we looked at it earlier. Now we got the potential CSD that plotted on. So yeah, we could get a scenario where we basically rate the lows, or rate the highs first, rate the lows, and then move up towards the big pool of equal highs right there at 42.15. So we're also in the area of the round number 4,200. We're also like right there. Let's see. Any other markets on the watch list that we haven't looked at in a while? Basically got everything in here. British pound, how's that holding up? Oh, even stronger than euro. That's crazy. Even though this was the weak one earlier. Wait, this is the wrong chart. We'll look at this one. There we go. So here you can see it really well that the pound basically traded below this liquidity pool and even below this one, while the euro stayed up here. So the GBP was really, really weak. And it's also because of this. The euro against the pound really had a very, very large rally right there. So as long as the euro was stronger, we would see more downfall or weakness on the GBP USD compared to Euro USD. A little bit of intermarket relationships that help you pick the right asset to trade, right? So in this case, when we had that large uptrend, it was favorable to pick up Euro longs and favorable to pick up British pound shorts. Against the US dollar, that is, right? When we trade both. Let's see. Because the number one thing I'm waiting for with this government shutdown is this right here. We still don't have any COT or open interest data since mid-October, and we're almost in December now. That's 1.5 months. Usually I look at this every week, so I'm getting deprived of data. Usually this really helps me specifically with making a choice or determining the bias that I'm looking for. Because like, let's say, right, we see this. We see the market taking out sell side while in a large sustained uptrend, right? We don't know what's happening right around here, but if we would have COT, then we'd know, right? Yeah, they're gonna catch up, right? 2 reports a week. Love it. Great. I want to know what they've been up to. End of January, back on schedule. Great. Then we'll have a great way to start the new year, at least. Can you suggest some basic idea to see the intermarket analysis to trade EU-GU using Euro-GBP? Yeah, sure. So basically, let's say you look at the DXY, right? And that's the USD, US dollar. And then you want to trade something against this dollar, right? So you choose either the euro or you choose the GBP, Great British Pound. But then you get to choose which one do you trade, right? Well, that depends because there's another asset. It's called the Euro GBP, where you basically look at these two against each other, right? So we're not looking at euros. So we're looking at Euro USD and GBP USD, but then also at the cross of these two, right? And then what we can do is basically use this as a barometer to help us choose which asset to pick, right? to either pick Euro USD or GBP USD. Let's say this Euro GBP is going up, right? It would mean that the Euro is stronger. So longs usually will be Euro USD if we favor a weaker DXY, right? If it's the other way around, if the GBP is stronger, we long GBP USD. Oh, that's not the right button. If we think the DXY is going to be stronger than both, right? We want to be longing the dollar, right? So we want to be short on the other asset or other currency in this case. So if we think the dollar is stronger, oh, what we will do is look, okay, which one of those two is weaker, right? In this case, it could be Euro is weaker, right? So short Euro is USD. And the other way around, if the GBP is weaker, we short GBP USD. So it's pretty simple, but we basically use this to look at which one is stronger, and therefore we can pick the correct asset to trade that will be in our favor, right? Because it's if like let's say we want to see the DXY go lower, so therefore we want foreign currencies to go higher, but the euro is stronger, it would mean that there's a likelihood that the euro will expand faster or higher or more because it's stronger than the other one in comparison. It's very similar to how we look at it with ES, YM, and NQ, right? Sometimes one asset is stronger than the other one when we look at SMT divergence, for example. And then we basically choose which asset to trade from that one. Or as a lot of people do, we just stick to one asset and just do it with what we can do. That also works. All right. Yeah, makes sense, right? It's a very easy way to look at it. Let's see. And this is Euro GBP. Let's go back to NQ, see what it's up to. Looks like it's recovering again, so we might see a continuation to the upside, hopefully. Yeah, we also didn't even close above it. That's interesting. There. We did not even close above the swing right here on the 15-minute. So we took out both sides of the range. Could be the same case as what did I want to say? As gold, where we basically take out both sides of the range first before moving on to the liquidity pools, right? Now that we looked at that, gold still going strong. Double purge, exactly. We take out both sides first, and then we move on to the real target. Let's see, we'll go back to a 5-minute. Yeah, I think the 1 minute's going to be ugly as can be. Yeah, it is really ugly. 10 a.m. open. We form a wick below here. And then we move upwards. Maybe see this high right there as a first target. And then if we manage to go for this, I think it's pretty likely we go for the extra 30 points and move on to the liquidity pool up there. At least if we close above it, will be the next logical step in the process, right? Let's see, we did get a really a nice expansion or displacement around 1026, where we use the fair value gap to basically propel ourselves higher. So I'm interested to see if we can hold it up. And then we'll look at the opposing inefficiency at around 75% of the range. Is it 75? Oh, it doesn't work. There we go. Yeah, it's around 75. 25 if we look at it like this, but now it's 75. There we go. But yeah, I rarely look at a 1 minute chart anymore nowadays. I usually stick to at least a 5 minute. It was just the 1 minute is just it's too much happening, too much stuff, too much not noise, but I don't know. I personally I tried to be aligned with like the higher time frame stuff, so a 1 minute throws you off very easily. At least that's what I noticed. Let's see. So anyone take any trades this week? Any interesting positions? Let's look at the crypto market. Oh, let's see. In your understanding, let's say the dollar is weaker, euro UBP is GBP is stronger. So the euro is stronger, so we buy EU and sell GU. Yeah, that's correct. Well, first off, I wouldn't say it's correct, but we first used the DXY to basically say, do we want to go long on the dollar or do we want to go short on the dollar? That's the first thing we look at. If we think the DXY is weak, we don't want to sell GU, right? Because then we're selling weak against weak, right? We want to sell weak against strong or buy strong against weak, right? So in this case, you'd buy EU. Let's say the DXY is weaker. Euro GBP is also going down, so it means that the GBP is stronger. So we buy GU, exactly, and vice versa for DXY stronger. Yeah, it's correct. Only we usually don't look at the second one because we don't want to sell or buy strong against strong or sell weak against weak. Because with Forex, it's usually the key to pick a market that's like very strong against very weak. That's usually it gives you the quote unquote easiest conditions because you're selling opposites of each other or buying opposites of each other, right? Because if you have a pair that's strong against another very strong pair, it's going to be a very slow grind higher because both are strong, or it's going to be sideways in consolidation because they're valued at the same pricing, let's say, right? Because one is not per se stronger than the other one, it will go sideways because you're measuring two assets against each other. But that's with Forex specifically, of course. Let's look. I'm very interested to see how Bitcoin's doing. Oh, Bitcoin took a big dump. Yeah, that'll probably go for the sell side. If we see it like this, where we take out buy side, 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 and then one smooth run lower. It looks like it could potentially move towards the sell side right there. One little fair value gap to do the trick. Let's see on a 15-minute what we're up to. Or just sideways movement. There we go. Yeah, nothing interesting to be honest. Just sideways movements all day. No volatility in there. Right click the chart and you can adjust the skill. Yeah, if I do adjust the skill, it will do this. Right? And then it will just slow down because I have the liquidity pools up there. Skill price chart only. Oh, there we go. Legend. Thank you. Yeah, otherwise I just keep dragging and dragging with the indicator with the chart. But yeah, as I said, it unfortunately it does nothing for the Bitcoin chart. It's still pretty boring for today, if I can be honest. We just move sideways and that's it. Stuck inside like a what 2% range, and also still no data on this. But I'm curious to see when are we getting COT data again. GBP so JPY GBP. I think you mean JBP JPY, right? Ooh, that's nice. I love it. That's a clean buy profile right here. A lot of distortion in between, but still, today's move was nice. Nice example of the double SMT. Yeah, exactly. Euro JPY here and Euro JPY there. Let's see. Topo was looking for a long in Nasdaq, but it has to dip well below Asia, and so far we're in premium, so no trades for you. That's a good call. Knowing where you can or cannot take a trade is very essential. Let's see. And for your system, you'd have to be below Asia, you say, right? So that's like right there. Yeah, okay. So you'd have a framework where you basically look for longs once Asia's sell side has been taken, and then you can look for longs. That makes sense. Right now we're kind of trading inside that range and really not doing anything. I think I removed the wrong line, didn't I? Yeah. I removed the midnight open line. But yeah, so far so good. We get a little seek and destroy profile. It's not very interesting, where we basically take out highs and lows and really don't displace one way. So unless we get some volatility this AM session, it's just gonna be choppy, choppy, chop today. But yeah, same thing for me, as we have the typical after large range expansion inside of the larger range. So we have that as a first. Then we also have the fact that we have a bank holiday tomorrow. So probably a lot of funds are not really engaging today. Um, all that stuff added up usually leads to lower probability conditions like this. Let's see. So on manipulation, if are you using the step map with it as well? Really nice. Yeah, so we're basically hovering inside the bearish manipulation all day on the daily step map. I mean, yeah, the step map does really give a very, very nice way to navigate the intraday perspective, even with just a daily step map. Let's see. And as this week is gonna close, or at the end of the week, the month is going to close. We're going to be releasing the new end of month recap. Probably not upcoming weekend, but the weekend after. So let's see if we can find some really interesting insights for that report, right? Shall we? And we'll see if we've been correct the last time or if we were offside completely. So yeah, if you have the Elite Collection, remember you have access to these on the Toodegrees library, Toodegrees library on WOP. You get access to so much stuff if you have the Elite Collection. It's not just indicators anymore. It's also a lot of resources like PDFs, case studies, the reports. It's a lot. An entire library, exactly. It's a lot of stuff in there. Let's see. So NQ is going sideways again. Let's see what LAM is up to. Probably stronger. Yeah, it is. And ES also probably going to be a little bit stronger. Yeah, slightly stronger than NQ. Let's see if it will respect the EQ right there or not. But it has been like this all week, as far as I know. YM is a stronger pair this week, so that one has been expanding a lot more compared to the other two. Let's see, we do seem to be rejecting this. Let's see what's happening on the 1 minute. So YM has two swings open right there. Pretty interesting to see. And ES is still 1. And NQ is going to be 1 as well. Probably, yeah. See, does everyone in here trade indices only, by the way? Or do we also have like gold traders? I think a lot of people trade gold as well, as far as I know. Or do we also have like stock traders, maybe? EU, GU, nice. Forex, love it. Just NQ. Yeah, I do like it to, or I do really understand why people just pick one asset to trade, just NQ or just ES or whatever. You know, not really looking at um which is most likely to perform better this week, but just picking one, sticking to it, and letting the data play into your favor. Let's see. Oh, yeah, you trade some stocks. That's interesting. Which stocks do you usually trade? Is it like a specific watch list, or is it just one or two? Let's see. Mainly NQ, but sometimes Bitcoin or gold if there's no setup on NQ. Makes sense. So you basically have like backup assets for when gold is not, or when NQ is not in favorable conditions. So it does look like NQ wants to continue towards the buy side, right there. Let's see. I think YM is going to be a little bit closer. No, it isn't even. Or it kind of is. It almost went for it. But it does look NQ is trying to catch up with YM. And what's up with ES? ES doing the same. So that's interesting. What was it? Scale price chart only. There we go. So let's see. Divided trays, futures, so indices, gold, oil, natural gas. Interesting. Don't see a lot of people that trade natural gas in here, but definitely an interesting asset. And then long term, you have ETFs and long term options for certain stocks. Oh, interesting. Long term options are really interesting. Options in general are a very interesting product. I do feel like investing long term is very beneficial to do alongside just general trading. How many trades do I execute in a week on average? Um, maybe like 1 to 3 on average. It's not a lot, but it's like the amount that I'm comfortable with nowadays. 1 to 3 maybe. Less is more, definitely. In my case, it definitely is. Let's see. You mainly trade long term, or mainly long term Rivian, GPU, and Shell are a few. Oh, working that 30-second opening range. Yeah, we probably are. It's right inside there. I know it's something you like to look at, right? 30-second opening range with some opening price magic. Great bias filter. It is. It is definitely a great filter. I love it. I'm sure you probably talked about it on stream before, right? You talked about it on the Monday stream. Oh, okay, and Tuesday also. Yeah. If you haven't watched those streams, or if you don't know what we're talking about, go watch those streams. If you want a really interesting bias filter. Yeah, with the weekly open. Really interesting. I was shocked when I first saw it, to be honest, because I've never looked at it in that way. So it's such a different filter than compared to what I'm used to in ICT in general, because we don't really have something like that. Well, we of course look at the weekly open and say, we take longs. If we want to catch the weekly range, we take longs below the open and shorts above the open, but we don't really have a day-to-day filter with the weekly open. Then we look at the daily open, right? But with the 30-second opening range, because it's so specific for the asset, it's a really interesting filter. Yeah, blending short-term filtering and higher time frame filtering. Yeah, exactly. I love it. Let's see. We got a screenshot coming in. Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah, now you can really see the difference between today and the other days. So we've had a lot of volatile days come in. Like, see how much we expand and move away or move compared to the opening range on other days, and how large the opening range is on other days compared to today. We have a very tiny opening range, and we're also moving barely out of it. So, also really says something. Yeah, and we're really extended, really overextended from the weekly open. Interesting. But at the same time, it's only Wednesday, right? So could still go on before before we see that retracement. So when we get further extended, you just get more cautious of double purchase. Yeah, Thursday and Friday, relax it, and you relax it in the sense of that's when you expect the retracements the most, or you don't hold too much weight on it. Ah, okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Also, the larger the distance away from it, it promotes you to be more cautious of it. Yeah, that's what I gathered from it too. Because if, especially when you're like very, very far away from it, it just means that the chances of a retracement they kind of increase, or a mean reversion. Let's call it that, right? And if we could call the weekly open the mean in that case. Yeah, for me, I'd say, oh, let's see. YM is stronger. YM took out the high, so we got SMT divergence right now, live. But if YM or NQ does decide to go up, oh, let's see. ES also took it out. Very interesting to see it happening live, how it plots it live, that ES and YM both took it out now. So we go there, we can see that ES expanded, YM expanded, and NQ is still a bit below. So you don't even have to look at the other charts in this way, right? You can just eye this one and just wait for the alert to come in, wait for the chart to show up. Yep, you must pair it with a PDA signature, exactly. And also, what also is a big thing for me is the fact that SMT is not a reversal signal, it's just a confirmation. So usually when we have SMT against higher time frame direction, what you could see is that it just gets ignored because it's not, it's not being used to offset anything or to accumulate more orders at a specific place, right? Because right now we could, when we have this liquidity pool above it, and personally my draw is this liquidity pool, I would not really look at this SMT and say it's that significant because I'm just looking for this pool up here. Like this one right here is more significant to me. And indeed, you need like some type of PDA signature or a higher time frame PD array signature that works together with it in order for it to have some significance. Otherwise, you're just blindly following a divergence that may not mean anything. That's why you touched the lecture about SMT protocols. I'd say link it in the chat. Is it a live stream on Monday? On Monday, let's see. let me grab the link for you guys. Go watch it after this if you have nothing to do, or otherwise schedule it for the next day. Let's see, it's this one, right? November 24. Yeah, November 24th. Index futures analysis and tape reading. There we go. Good to have a bank holiday. Exactly. You can watch it tomorrow. Around the 17-minute mark. Okay. Let's see what the euro is up to in the meantime, if it's still expanding or not. Kinda is. Retraced a little bit, but we should see those highs get in. And then it would be interesting to see if we get a run into those low resistance highs. Same for the DXY. Let's look at that. Yeah, we're almost there. As I said, this should be very doable. Then we'd be looking for development all the way down here. Matthew McConaughey started the stream. What did he say? Did he say all right, all right, all right, or? He did, didn't he? Like I haven't clicked the beginning yet, but I know if you say that, I know what he's gonna say. Let's see, Euro's gonna be almost there. Yeah, I was gonna take it out. Should be a no-brainer from now on. Good morning, probably random. I hope all is well with you. Let me see. Oh, NQ also broke it again. Let's see. Let's go back to the other tab. So yeah, that's why I said this SMT doesn't mean anything to me, because the draw for me is up here, so I'm not gonna look at that bearish SMT when I'm bullish. You know, for me it's just a confirmation signal that I want to see into the direction I'm looking at, and not against it. Because well, it's a big word, but like I want to see it support order flow. That's how I look at it. I don't use it to try and time a reversal on longer or higher time frame order flow. Isn't that the movie where he first said this phrase as well? The all right, all right, all right. Isn't that the first movie where he said it because he kind of came up with it on the spot? I think I saw a clip of that in like an interview or something, or it could be one of the podcasts he did. Yeah, I think he said it in the Chris Williams podcast, didn't he? Let's see. So YM is still much stronger. That's the wrong YM. Let's go. Yeah, there we go. And the ES also much stronger. But those two have already traded above these highs, so NQ is just catching up. So then basically what we get is like the six sister concept, right? Where this one still has some room to go up because it has to catch up with the other two. Dazed and confused sounds a little bit like my trading until I found Toodegrees Tools and streams. That's the quote of the century right there. That's funny. His book is also great. Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but someone did recommend it to me, and I was interested in it. And he did talk about his book in the podcast, and I did like the podcast. So maybe I'll read it one day. Let's see. So we are what, like 10 points away? Yeah, 10 points away from the liquidity pool. So it would be interesting to see if we get a C4 continuation into the next liquidity pool right there. Because like the extension, like we have a very large CSD right here. So the extension's all the way up here. And as T-Trade says, whenever we have very, very large CSDs like these, try to reference the first projection and not the second and 2.5 because it's just too far away. And it makes more sense to just go for the first one compared to the other ones, especially on a day like this. Like on days like these, I personally don't even try to get to the first projection right there. I'd honestly just go for the more obvious target, which would be the liquidity pool from C2 or from C1, sorry, and the liquidity pools up here. But that's just me, of course. If other people have different ways to look at it or different ways to frame it, that's all good. All right, so we're almost there. And then we did complete a nice buy model within the AM session, even though it was a bit rocky at the start, and that's not what I would like to see. But I think we're gonna hit this any moment now. Okay, so there we go. Alerts going off because I usually set an alert just below liquidity pool. It should be up a little bit higher. There we go. Oh, no, I've put it up too high. There, that's perfect. Would be funny if we just not reach it and then just reverse back down, right? Because those two have already hit it and they are starting to slow down. So NQ could be pulled with them. Could be. But we don't know. Anyway, let's see if we have some final questions, and otherwise we're gonna round up the stream slowly but surely. While we have looked at the first, what is it, 2 hours or something, or first 1 hour of the live market. We're starting to get a potential CSD plotting in, but I'm not looking to hold or hold that accountable or whatever. So yeah, as we see that YM and ES are both starting to slow down, and they've already completed multiple down close candles, and okay, ES is moving pretty much the same as NQ, but those two are already above the liquidity pool. Becomes harder for NQ. Let's see. Thanks, guys. Happy holiday for all US people in here. Have a great long weekend. Well, you too. Have a great day, Tony. And yeah, indeed, happy holidays to all the US based traders in here for tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. We don't have it here in Europe, but yeah, I want to wish everyone a nice day. If you're in the US, it's gonna be a nice, what is it, afternoon. If you're in Europe, it's gonna be a nice evening. If you're in Asia, it's what, a nice night, I think. Good night. It's probably pretty late in Asia now. So yeah, and make sure to tune in next week. Next stream, what we're gonna do is something kind of special, right? Because I know a lot of people often have questions about indicators. They have questions about settings, about specific presets, about how to use specific tools. So I think what would be nice is for next stream to basically do just that, right? We will go over questions people have to look at specific settings, for specific ways to set up indicators, maybe even in ways to, that you haven't looked at before. Like using, for example, the stat map onto the higher time frame power of 3 tool to basically see how a higher time frame power of 3 moves relative to a stat map that's plotted onto this exact thing. So those are all possibilities, right? That we're gonna look at in the next stream. I think it's next week, and otherwise it's gonna be the week after. So yeah, I want to wish everyone a nice day, a nice evening, and then I'll see you guys in the next stream. Great stuff. Yeah, thank you guys also for attending. Really appreciated everyone tuning in here. It's always a pleasure. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. You too, Kira. Take care. Bye bye.